Hello there, viewers. Now, something very special for you today, a special treat. I have in my hands right now a database in 3015. It's a 1,000-year database. It's a millennial database made by a guy on Reddit, actually, called Yimzo. I think it is Lorf Yimzo. Yes, I want to credit him. There'll be a link to his Reddit post in the description. If you're not a fan of the Football Manager Reddit, then I think you should check it out. There's some interesting stuff on there. Interesting stuff like this. So he simmed 1,000 years in the future, and some of the things that are part of this are hilarious, frankly. Some of them are very, very interesting. He did the English pyramid only, so if you can't really look at La Ligue and things like that, but to sim forward 1,000 years, I think he said in his post it took him something like 58 days to get it to this point. That's a long time, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is show you I'm going to go through the leagues in England. I'm going to show you some of the winners, some of the Ballon d'Or winners, and things like that. And what I actually want you to do is leave a comment in this video for anything that I don't show. I'll remind you at the end as well. For anything that I don't show you, to leave a little comment, and I will look again later in the week at some of the best suggestions that I've had from the comment section. So, without further ado, I have to go through this, and I have to cut it up, because some of the page times take about a minute. So, let's see what we can find. So, I think the best place to start, though, will be on the page you're on right now. As you can see, the Premier League is quite different to what it normally is. I guess the only few survivors we've got here, technically speaking, I guess are Tottenham are still there, Manchester City are still there, and that's it. Which 1,000 years in the future, Manchester City are still spending lots of money and surviving in the Premier League. Obviously, you can see Hull won it there. The winners of the league changes a lot more than it does these days, which is interesting. But yeah, you can see some of the teams in here. Ilkeston in there, St Neots in there. It's ridiculous. Some of the teams in here, Bromley finished 7th, Brentford 5th. I mean, actually, that's not that outrageous. St Albans are in there. It's a different landscape. For those that have looked at the database on Reddit, you'll know that Sheffield United and Rotherham, who finished 12th and 13th on this particular year, in the 1,000th year since now, they dominate just football in general over some of the years. It's ridiculous how much they dominate it. If you'd like to see that more, obviously, let me know in the comment section. But yeah, you can see here, it's kind of crazy. The most interesting thing to me, really, are some of the records that still stand today. Like the biggest win, Manchester United beating Ipswich in 1995, still stands 1,000 years later. The highest attendance is 112,000. Burnley have got a pretty big stadium, it's fair to say. A few of the other things that have happened. The biggest scoring game is now Barnsley-Tottenham, which was an 8-5. Shrewsbury lost 17, or didn't win a game in 37 matches. And Arsenal's without losing streak of 49 matches not out still remains as well, 1,000 years in the future. Some of this stuff is just ridiculous. Obviously, a new top goal scorer as well, which happened 400 years ago. Just 400 years ago. A guy called Cardo Kieku, who played for Preston. I've clicked his name. Oh, it loaded quicker than I thought it would. Yeah, he was relatively prolific. He was good for Anderlecht, 26 and 26. 317 and 531. The Belgian wasn't too bad at all. So yeah, that's the Premier League. We'll move on a little bit. Obviously, if you want to pause the video and have a little look at some of these shots and stuff, then do so. So, moving on to the Championship, we can see again there are some teams in here you might not expect. We can see a lot of the Premier League teams that are around these days are in this division. You can see Arsenal there in 8th, Villa in 6th, Chelsea in 13th, Norwich in 17th, West Ham in 20th. So you're slowly getting a bit more of an idea of the Premier League teams. Swansea there as well, and then there's teams like Bath and Farnborough and Nuneaton and Chelmsford that you might not expect to be there. Welling also in there, Maidstone. It's a different time, folks. It's a very different time. I can't imagine this happening now, but just to see it on the screen is interesting. Obviously, again, if you want to look at the some of the teams that are in this, then be my absolute guest. Don't be afraid to pause the video. Reading have won the league, which isn't that unlikely. Some of the teams in the Championship are still there now. Obviously, some of these aren't that weird, but most of them are quite weird. Anyway, I'll move on to League One. Making our way down to Met Police have won League One. I've got no more words. Boston United, they're second. Eastbourne, Borough, Cardiff, Harrogate. Liverpool are there in 8th. Yes, representing. We still haven't seen Manchester United yet. I wonder where they are. Hendon, Braintree. There's so many teams that you don't expect. This is going to be the case for sort of all of them. But it's interesting to see if your team, obviously, maybe a local team to you, is now ranked in sort of the upper echelon of English football. I say that League One. I mean, I've called that upper echelon. I don't know what I'm comparing it to. Right then, down to League Two, and my eyes are immediately drawn to the bottom of the table. Manchester United in 23rd have been relegated this season with Margate. Exeter, Sutton United, Grimsby, Boreham Wood. Any other major teams down here? Okay, I don't know anything about this team. I'm going to risk clicking their name. Oh, there we are. Skelmersdale are in League Two. I know little about you, but I'm excited to see your journey. My word. It's weird. I was looking at this here, and it said like 95, 96. And I was thinking, they weren't in the Championship. We're 1,000 years in the future. Ben, come on. Get your head on. See these Southampton and Middlesbrough, some of the bigger sides down there in League Two. Blackburn, another one. It's, again, I kind of have to repeat myself, but I'm really just opening it up so you can see what's occurring in these leagues. We'll keep going down. Right, next comes the conference, and from what I can see, I like the fact there's a Redditch, and it looks like Reddit. Reddit made it into the conference. Oh, how exciting. I can't actually see any of the current Premier League sides in the conference. Forgive me if you can see one, but I can't seem to. So I would assume there's one or two which may have slipped even further down than the Vanarama conference. What we'll do, though, is we'll leave it there. If you want to see the other leagues, then do let me know, and we'll have a little flick through. But yeah, it's a fascinating database, but we're not finished. Let's look at some more interesting things. So, these are the leading transfers from the save. You can see there, Jeremy Lano went from Bordeaux to Coventry. So Coventry, Nottingham Forest, Sheffield United and Arsenal are the heavy hitters. I should say that due to the fact that he only opened up England, it's more likely that the major transfers would come from those countries, because everything else is based on reputation. So, for example, he says it in his Reddit post as well, that the wins of La Liga would be quite straightforward. It would be like Madrid, Barca, Atletico, Valencia, a lot of the time, because it's based on reputation for leagues that you don't load. So that's probably a reason why Coventry made the £77 million purchase. Say Forest got a guy called Pingo, and as I mentioned, I could click these names. Like this was in 2044. So some people get to that now, and Coventry are spending 77 million on a player. He's a Frenchman called Jeremy. Jeremy, I guess, if we're going to be particular. Spent quite a long time at Bordeaux, and then Coventry went, yeah, we'll have him. 215 goals in 375 games. Not too bad at all. So yeah, again, if you want to have a look at the transfers, then pause the screen on the transfer screen, and I'll have a little look. I wish I could get there, but the page isn't loading. I did it earlier. Go back. So then, to complete transfers, you're going to need some finance. And as you can see here, Brentford are topping it. Interestingly enough, a Saudi Arabian team are 4th, and 10th actually, and a Chinese team are 11th. Brentford top it with 1.7 billion pounds worth of value. Tottenham, PSG still up there, of course they are. Real Madrid still up there as well. Bromley in 6th at 1.37 billion, which I quite like. Again, you can see Barcelona in 15th. There's some familiar teams in there. AC Milan. A lot of the big teams from now, though, aren't there. I'm thinking mainly teams like Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal aren't as obvious, but I'm sure they're on there somewhere. Although they're there. Arsenal there. There's a familiar face at last. It really is. Like I'm sort of scrolling through slowly now. It's a fascinating database to see how teams are climbing up the leaderboards of finance within value. Actually, I just want to check things like ticket prices just to see if it goes up. So the average season ticket price is pretty much the same. Tottenham have the highest one. I think at the start of the game, Arsenal do. St Albans are charging £948 a year to watch them. That's extortionate. That's outrageous. Again, more average ticket price stuff. You can see actually most of the average ticket price, like the top end, and the top 4 at least, are from Spain and Italy, not even from England. St Albans, though, again, highest ticket price. They are, tell you what, it's an upper class area around there these days. Ever since that Champions League win, I assume. So I thought I'd look at the honours of St Albans. Unless I'm missing something, the biggest trophy they've won is the FA Cup. Yeah, they've got a right bee in their bonnet. They charge extortionate amount of money. Well, they've won the Championship 3 times, but all within the last 100 years. So I think they've got a little bit too big for their boots, frankly. Yeah, I wasn't wrong. The best thing they've won is the Sky Bet Championship 3 times. Just unbelievable. Football these days, and we complain now. St Albans are taking the piss. Ironically enough, though, the club fail the English Premier Division financial fair play regulations. Well, you better up your prices then, because clearly you've got issues. Now, I'm showing you the Golden Ball winners. I don't really know why, because it's not like you're going to go, oh yeah, I remember Daniel Rigg. In my day, he was a star. I mean, that was in 998 even, and he played for Rotherham. It's again, it's outrageous. I should say, the guy at the database, Lorf Yimzo, left loads of spreadsheets for all sorts of data on who won the Premier League the most times and things like that. So go and check that out on there. It's a far better demonstration of how it all went down. And as I say, Sheffield United and Rotherham have a great time. If you're a fan of those teams, just stay alive for about 500 years, and the success you're about to get is going to be astronomical. So just if you can hold on, then try that. In terms of the world rankings, you can see Italy top it. The top 10 is Italy, England, Germany, United States, finally up there after 1,000 years, Colombia, Czech Republic, Venezuela, which is quite interesting, Wales in 8th, Argentina and Spain in 10th and 9th, respectively. And it's just, again, it's quite an interesting list. I can't see any really fallen giants down there. I guess Belgium have slipped a little bit. You might expect them to be a little bit higher up. But yeah, some absolutely crazy things going on. Wales in 8th. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. I'm joking. I don't hate the Welsh. Not normally, anyway. No, just in general. So, in terms of the top divisions in the world, Serie A holds it, although it is level with La Liga and the German First Division and the Premier League and Ligue 1. The Eredivisie not too far behind with the Portuguese League, and as you can see there, then there's quite a few as they find their way down. The Championship, surprisingly low down. You might expect it to be a little bit high, considering England is the only league loaded. Okay, so this was just a brief overview, really, of... you can see some World Cup winners there as well. This is just a brief overview, really, of what happened within the save. But if you want to see more stuff, let me know. If you want to see, like, the best player of 1,000 years later, let me know, and I'll show you in the next video. Or probably on Friday. So you have until about Wednesday to write down your suggestions in the comments, and I will do the best ones. What I will say, though, please avoid saying, can we look at, can we see Cheltenham? Can we just look at Cheltenham's team? No, I'm not looking at individual teams. You can download the database if you have to. But something that could be sort of interest to everybody. And if you see a comment you like, then thumbs it up and put the best ones to the top so we can have a good look through. So, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you want to see more of this sort of thing, then subscribe to the channel. And from me, Dr. Benji, goodbye. There's a link to the Reddit post in the description. Go and look at it. The amount of work that's gone in is... I can't speak highly enough of it. So yeah, check it out. So that brings us to the end. With love with care from me, Dr. Benji. Until next time, goodbye.